Should I invest in Bitcoin or Ethereum? Okay, so to give a quick answer, for me, if you guys have been following my channel for some time, you know that I am basically a 100% into Bitcoin. And that's simply because Bitcoin is older, more trustworthy, and in my opinion, a better long term investment. But I have been reading your comments, and some of you guys have been asking me about Ethereum. So I'm going to talk a little bit about both and give you guys my personal opinion on which cryptocurrency that you may want to invest in if you're a complete beginner. So if you guys like this content, please smash the like button so other people can find this video. So first of all, let's just talk a little bit about age when it comes to cryptocurrency. So the Bitcoin network actually went live in 2009. So as of uploading this video, the Bitcoin network is about 16 years old, okay? Ethereum went live in 2015, so Ethereum is about 10 years old. So just based on that alone, the Bitcoin network has been around a little bit longer. It's a little bit more trustworthy in my opinion, and it just has more long-term kind of transparency when it comes to fulfilling the point of cryptocurrency, which in my opinion is to facilitate peer-to-peer transactions safely, securely, 24/7, 365 without a third party. So that's why I really believe that investing in Bitcoin is kind of the best solution for most people, simply because Bitcoin is rarer. Okay, so there's only 21 million Bitcoin, whereas Ethereum's supply is a lot higher. Now, it's not actually quite sure what Ethereum supply is based on moving to the proof of work to proof of stake. But we all know that there's the Bitcoin is way more scarce, and that's reflected in the price. Okay. Another thing that's important about a Bitcoin is that I believe in cryptocurrencies for the basis of it. The whole concept is to kind of, replace traditional savings accounts with 21st century savings accounts, which I consider Bitcoin is the best 21st century savings account. And Ethereum is a little bit different. Okay, people consider Bitcoin like digital gold, whereas Ethereum is considered digital silver. So in the past, gold's been around for 5 to 6,000 years. And kings have known to have gold, whether it's um, kings of ancient Egypt. A lot of times when they dig up their tombs, they found gold all over their tombs and things like that. We have ancient China, ancient Rome. So all over the world, gold was always revered as a sacred, precious metal. And silver was also had its place, but it just didn't have the same value. Okay. And I think we've seen the same thing in the USD fiat prices, the US dollar prices of Bitcoin versus Ethereum. Okay, at the current ratio, Bitcoin is 40 to 45 times more valuable than Ethereum is. And that's simply because more people find utility and purpose with Bitcoin than they do with Ethereum. Okay, now I know Ethereum is very important for things like minting NFTs, okay, and a lot of people use, a lot of cryptocurrencies use Ethereum, okay, to kind of mint their tokens on their blockchain, and that makes a lot of sense. So there is some use for Ethereum, of course, for NFTs, for things like that. Minting other blockchains can use Ethereum, so they don't have to create the blockchain themselves. They can kind of just piggyback off of it. But as an investor, as a long-term investor, I believe that you really want to invest in the strongest horse. And the fact that the strongest horse is simply Bitcoin. Okay, Bitcoin has been the number one cryptocurrency since it's the original one. It's always been number one. Now the top 20 places have been, in flux. Okay, if you look at the top 20 cryptocurrencies back in 2015, you look at the top 20 now, most of them are completely different. And that's because, altcoins, which is any other cryptocurrency other than Bitcoin, it tends to fluctuate based on popularity, because altcoins, in my opinion, are basically just a poor excuse for Bitcoin. So if I were, going to invest my first $500,000 or $5,000, whatever, into cryptocurrency, I would definitely go with Bitcoin first. I would really have a foundation of Bitcoin, and I would just kind of focus on that, because when you're chasing these other altcoins, there are returns there to be made. Don't get me wrong, guys. But over time, I really believe that altcoin holders lose against Bitcoin, okay? And we've seen that with Ethereum recently. So ever since the last April 2024 Bitcoin halving, cryptocurrencies are up. But if you look at the chart of Ethereum to Bitcoin, Ethereum is down 50% over the last 52 weeks based on Bitcoin. Now, obviously, that probably won't always stay like that. But what it goes to show you is that a lot of people that have been holding Ethereum have been losing out, whereas Bitcoin has been outperforming a lot of these altcoins. Okay. And that's just simply because Bitcoin is more, I think, more trustworthy. Okay. The fact that it's rarer, the fact that a lot of the Bitcoin ETFs were launched in 2024, are a lot of capital poured into Bitcoin. Okay. There are obviously companies like Strategy, with the executive chairman Michael Saylor, and kind of leading the charge, and the company owns over 500,000 Bitcoin. They don't own any Ethereum. So that's, I think, one of the problems that you're going to have when you're invested in Ethereum is that, in order for cryptocurrencies to really take off, in my opinion, you need adoption. Okay, people need to put their income, their financial energy into a cryptocurrency in order for the price to go up. There needs to be more buyers and sellers. And with companies like Strategy and Marathon Digital and CleanSpark and Tesla and all of these companies, a lot of these companies only basically have Bitcoin. So a lot of these guys are billionaires and some of the smartest people on the planet when it comes to managing capital, and they haven't really put that much capital into Ethereum as opposed to where they've been putting a ton of capital into Bitcoin. So as they say, actions are louder than words. So it's really hard for me to go against some of these brilliant investors and say, well, they're wrong. I'm going to not put my capital into Bitcoin and put it into Ethereum. And for me, I just think that's a mistake. I think as crypto adoption is very small, okay, probably I would estimate probably only like 2 to 3% of the world's population owns Bitcoin. So we have a long way to go until we approach 10% adoption, 20%, 25%, and maybe even 50% adoption within the next 5, 10, 20 years. So will that happen with Ethereum? Will a huge amount of the population that has access to internet own Ethereum? I don't know. But I know that you're better off owning gold than you are owning silver. Okay, gold's prices have been spiking recently. Gold is almost over like $3,000 an ounce, where silver is just a big lagger. So if gold has been doing really, really well in real life in comparison to silver, I really believe that digital gold, which I consider Bitcoin, will outperform digital silver, which is Ethereum, over the long run. So like I said, this is not financial advice. It's my personal opinion. I think you're better off investing in Bitcoin over Ethereum. And a lot of my clients or a lot of my friends that hold crypto, I was really pounding the table on just getting your money into Bitcoin, over the last year or two, and kind of just staying away from these altcoin, I call them scams, unless you really plan to buy these altcoins low and dump them when the mania kicks in, when everyone's obsessed with them all, on in real life and on social media. If you want to sell them, take your profits and then move them into something else, that's fine. But holding altcoins like Ethereum long term for me is a big no-no. And that's simply because it just doesn't have the same strength and the same rarity and the same transparency that Bitcoin does. So for me, I'm pro Bitcoin on this channel. Things could change. We'll see. The Bitcoin network has been really strong for 16 years or so. If something happens, then obviously I'll have to change my stance. But as long as Bitcoin stays strong with good uptime and solves the modern day savings account issue, I'm going to stick with Bitcoin. I'm going to stick with the strongest horse. So I hope that answered your question, guys. If you have any more questions about Bitcoin or any other altcoins, let me know in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer them. And like I said, if you guys enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel for more content moving forward. So that's all, guys. Until next time, guys. Take care.